But I was desperate because I started having suicidal thoughts. And that was very scary for me because it was kind of getting out of control. And I said yes. So I went to this youth ministry on a Saturday evening.
Hello, and welcome to the M4 podcast. My name is Craig Hamer, and I'm your host. And today on the podcast, we have Valentina Leighton with us, who is a member of the M4 Europe team. Valentina, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Craig.
Valentina, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What kind of family did you grow up in?
So I'm from the south of Chile, and I grew up in a non-Christian family.
Okay.
And my parents got divorced 2 weeks before I was born. So I was born into a family that it was broken, and we didn't believe in God. We didn't have God back then, and my childhood was marked by being neglected by my parents, with a lot of abuse and loneliness. So I grew up being very shy, very scared of everything. Everything was just like, oh, everything can go wrong. I had OCD since I was 4. And so my life was very structured, very careful, very marked by this is the way I do things and that's it. And outside that area, everything is dangerous. So I was very, very fearful.
Wow. So you've had a lot of trauma in your life, a lot of difficulties. How do you go from that to finding a God who loves you and his son Jesus who dies for you?
So friendship. I had this one friend, and he knew my story, and he invited me to church. And for me, back then, going to church was the most scary thing because I had this perspective of perfection. Being a Christian is perfect, and I'm not. But I was desperate because I started having suicidal thoughts, and that was very scary for me because it was kind of getting out of control. And I said yes. So I went to this youth ministry on a Saturday evening. And the person there, the pastor, he was preaching about prayer. And that was very impactful for me. And at the end, he made this invitation to pray and talk to God. And I remember just like, I can try this. And I had a very, very genuine prayer to God. And I said, I don't know if you are real. I don't know you. But if you are real, I need your help because I'm dying.
Wow.
And that changed my life in a radical way. I was 14 back then. So as a teenager, you really, you are suffering those years.
Yes.
And God changed my name from fear to brave. And my name in Spanish means brave. So it just made so much sense to be able to own it and say, that's my identity. I'm a brave person.
Wow. And you, from Chile. And so you went to church. But if I understand, Chile has more of like a large Catholic kind of background. What is it like in church in Chile? How is it? As a big Catholic churches, Protestant churches, what does it look like?
So in Chile, the majority is a Catholic environment, but I was going to a evangelic church. And I started helping in this team in schools. So we were helping them to create this like a Bible studies and Bible groups. And the director, I guess I can call her, of the school, she got to know about this. And she said that if I would keep doing it, in a way, a bit far away from the Catholic tradition, I would have to leave school. So I had to stop doing it, and do it then in a way outside the school, just within the church, but not in my high school where I used to be. So I think there is a certain tension between like who is better or closer to God than the others, where in Norway, for example, if I jump to now, it's different. It's a lot of more like, let's do this together.
A lot more unity.
Yeah. And some things that you can take apart and say, okay, we don't need to go there. These are our differences, but what's the most important? Let's do it together because it's more efficient, of course. Yeah.
Okay. That is really fascinating because, churches, there can be a lot of fighting, competition, but it's, it's interesting to hear your background from Chile, and then now you're in Norway. You know, unfortunately, we're not on the M4 South America podcast. We're on the M4 Europe podcast. You know, so we're probably at least 2 or 3 years away from a South American podcast, at least. But now you're in Norway. How does someone end up in Norway from Chile?
Yeah, it's not a common destination for us. So it's very exotic for me to be there. But it has been a journey of finding myself in Norway, that I feel home there. But my mom's best friend, she lives in Norway, and she invited me for 5 years in a row. So I'm a nurse. So when she started this invitation process, I was in the middle of my education. So I was like, no, I can go later. I can go later. And then I had this accident with boiling water, and I was in bed for a month. And in that process, God was working with my character. And he said, remember, I've called you to be brave. So I'm calling you to go to Norway. And I went there for 3 months as holidays, and I just fell in love with Norway. And I started praying, God, I believe in you. How can I do this? If you invite me, I'm able to do this. And the invitation was official, and I flew away from home for the first time. And I had this layover in Brazil, and on the way I'm just like, what am I doing? This is so, like, I quit my job, I just got my education, and I'm so scared. I was terrified. And I learned English back then, so it was a 2-month course before going to Norway. So I'm just like, no, I'm going to stop in Brazil and I'm going to go back home. And God spoke to me so strongly on that plane. And he said, you have to go. I'm calling you to do this. Like, and you know, and that was my mindset afterwards, is I know that I know that I know that I have to go.
You know that you know that you know that you have to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then,
so it was quite strong impression and understanding.
Very. It was almost a conviction, I would say. Yeah. And that was, again, so strong that it led me to quit my job and, start from scratch in a country that we are not used to. We don't know anything about Norway and the culture and how they do things. And, and money-wise, coming from a third world country to a first world country.
Yeah, one of the richest in the world.
Yeah. So for me, having a coffee was like, wow, that's my salary for a week. So it's a bit shocking to get into their culture.
And so you're now in Norway. When you look back, what is the difference between, you said the first world, the third world, what were some of the other bigger differences culture-wise between Norway and Chile?
I think, for example, something that there is in common is this, like, let's make a change. Both countries have it, but there are different ways to do it. So in Chile, it's about passion. We are so passionate. So even in the Christian world, we follow God with so much passion. But in Norway, it's about vision. So Norway has a vision. They want the same as we do, but there's a vision, there's a plan, there's structure to do it. So in Chile, maybe it's more messy, because with that passion, you can still do things, but not always in the most efficient way. And also maybe a bit more about maturity. And in Norway, I feel that the church is a bit more mature than in Chile.
Wow. What other cultural differences have you noticed in people? Like, are Norwegians more cold? Are Chileans more friendly? I mean, how have you navigated that?
So I'm very introvert. So in my own culture, I'm like a strange person because I need my time. I like to think before talking, and I like quiet. And in Chile, that's very difficult to get. But in Norway, people are just so good. They have just the most pure heart. They really want to help you, but it takes time to get to know them. We moved with Simon, we can talk more later. We met in Ålesund. That's more north of
and
Norway.
Simon, he's your husband.
That's And then we moved to Kristiansand, and it took 5 months to connect with people.
5 months, to just, what do you mean, like, connect with them?
Connect means that someone that is more than say hi to you, because we would go to, the best and the easiest way to make friends in Norway is through church. And you go and people are very welcoming. They're literally waiting for you by the door and saying, hi, welcome, But that's it. Like no one is going to invite you for dinner. No one is going to be like, do you want to go for coffee after this? Because they need to trust you. So the way that you earn that is by going, to church, okay, and then they see you, okay, you are here. Then we can invite you to our
build
circle.
that process.
Completely.
Yeah.
And in Chile, it's the opposite. In Chile, you're best friends right away.
Yeah.
You're, hugging each other like, oh, now we're best friends. And then you turn around and it's like, oh, I didn't really like the person, So I think in Chile, it's faster to make friends. But in Norway, once you make friends, they are friends for life. And that's it's a new concept for me.
And a more personal question, who has better food, Chile or Norway?
Chile.
Yeah.
In Norway, I think they could use more spices.
More spice, yeah, a little more flavor.
Yeah, it's a lot of boiled things.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I need a little bit of deep fried and coriander. Yeah.
And so, do you ever feel this desire to want to return to Chile, or do you have more peace that you are where you need to be?
It's a good question. I think I miss my family every day, but it's a journey of understanding that I'm a living sacrifice. So when I lose perspective of that, then I'm like, I want to move. Like I can't do this. I'm too far away from home. But those are the moments where I wish my husband would be like, you're so right. But when I have the right perspective, I know that Norway is the right place to be for us as a family, but also for me. Yeah.
So you have that like firm peace, knowing that you're in where God wants you to be.
Yeah, I know that I know that I know.
You know that you know
is
that you
the
know.
right place.
Yeah. So let's connect a few pieces there. You've mentioned Simon, your husband. You end up coming to Norway for a short visit. How did you then meet him? How did you transition to stay in Norway and have now been there for several years? And you found now a local church, and that has connected you to M4. So give me that story.
Yes. So we met in Ålesund with Simon and through Youth with Mission. But when I came there to study, he was already a bit out of it. Like he was working, he was more like a local, living there as a local. He's Danish, so he learned Norwegian and stay around. But he was still helping at the base and Youth with the Mission with the worship nights. So then we started to just talk. But
he's a musician?
He's a musician, so he plays piano and bass and drums.
Okay.
And
So you were like worshiping, but also maybe noticing people in the band. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah? Exactly. Okay. But I was really, YWAM is Youth for the Mission is a place for extrovert people. So the introverts, we have a bit of a difficult time. So I was not around that much. So when he was, so I was studying first, and then we didn't really connect so much. But when I came back to staff, then we connected. And a dear friend to us, he started talking, about each other. It's like, I think you should get to know Simon, and the same the other way. And through him, we started talking. And Simon, he heard that I needed to get a bank account, of course, as a missionary in Norway. And he's like, I can help you getting your bank account. And from there, we started getting to know each other.
And then eventually you got married.
And so a year and a half later, we were married.
Wow.
So, and then, it's a Chilean and a Danish meeting in Norway and making Norway our home.
Yeah.
It was a journey.
It's quite an intercultural experience you're having there.
Very intercultural, yeah.
So you're in Ålesund, which is a little bit more northern Norway. Yes. Then you end up in Kristiansand, which is the most southern part of Norway. How did that happen and you end up at Hornas Free Church?
See. We started praying. 3 months after we got married, we realized that we were invited to Norway by God as single people, both. But now we're married, so let's pray. Where would God want us to go now that we are married? And we started this intense prayer process. For a week, we were praying separate, and then a week later, we were praying together. And Simon got Kristiansand right away.
Yeah.
But for me, I got this sense of going south. So then we started, talking about it, and we decided, let's go to Kristiansand. And we did spend our honeymoon in Kristiansand. It was COVID time, so we couldn't leave Norway. Right? And we heard things about Kristiansand being really pretty in the summer. So we did it, but we didn't know anyone in Kristiansand. So it was a journey of, again, being brave and this conviction. We believe that God is inviting us to go to Kristiansand and He will provide what we need. And back then, I was still waiting for my family reunion visa, which it took really long because of COVID and other things. And we didn't have money. I didn't have a job. Simon had to quit his job in order to go to Kristiansand and find a new job. So it was really challenging in so many ways.
Quite a step of faith to do that.
And newlyweds, and you know, so some people were like, "That's dangerous. Like that could ruin your marriage. You shouldn't do it. You should look for stability." And but we knew that it was the right thing because it was so clear for both of us, and we didn't try to manipulate what we were hearing from God. We were very humble in that to say, "What is it really that God is trying to tell us to do?"
Wow. You moved to Kristiansand. How do you find the church then? You said that's how you make friends, and people aren't so friendly. They don't invite you out for coffee or something. But something happened different when you got to Kristiansand. What was that?
So it was 5 months later after we arrived. We moved, and I was desperate for friendship. I'm an introvert, but even there's like, this is too much. It's just me at home. Simon would come from work, and you know, he was the first person I would interact with in hours. So, and I'm ready to, you know, do things. And he's just like, oh, I'm starting a new job. Like, I'm so tired. So he was so patient. And then we talked to a friend in Ålesund and asked, do you know anyone in Kristiansand that you could connect us to? And she said, I know this couple. We can do this together. Let me introduce you. And we met them, and they asked, are you going to a church? And we said, we tried in a few churches around, but another interesting fact about Norway is that you go to church where you live. And if you're from far away, it's like, what are you doing here?
Okay.
So we were going to another area in the city, and people's like, oh, you live there? Why are you here? But yeah, welcome.
Okay.
So then we heard about this place in Hånes, and we went to the church and tried, and we felt home right away. And so we went to this like evening gathering, so very low key, but it was lovely. And then 2 weeks later, I got my visa on a Sunday morning, my family reunion visa. And I thought, I'm going to go to church. I need to celebrate this.
Yeah.
And there's a coffee after church, right? And I was just sitting there, and we were at this table with all the people, and I just shared that I got my visa, and I was looking for a job. And Øyvind was sitting in front of me, and he's like, who are you? Tell me about you. I'm looking for a PA. And everyone around, they were laughing. So I'm like, he's joking.
Yeah.
But it's because Øyvind was so busy, and like he needed help with his schedule and everything. So the laughter was about that. It's like, finally, he's looking for someone to help. And the connection with that is that those 2 weeks before that event, I had a dream with Jesus. And he said, you're going to get your visa and you're going to find a job. And I'm praying for you because this is the job I have for you. And 2 weeks later, I met Øyvind the same day that I got my visa. And I got a job on the same day, basically.
On the same day he hired you, which would seem unusual in most situations, but knowing Øyvind, it seems pretty normal and how things usually work. That's great. So you get a job, and now you're working at M4 Europe. What is your role there? What do you do as a part of the team?
So it has been a journey because the interview that I had was about being his personal assistant. And I thought, well, he's a pastor, so it must be really easy. It's going to be an easy job. And then suddenly I got the list of everything he was doing. And that was a bit overwhelming. And he said, it's okay. It's going to take a few months for you to grasp everything that we're doing. And then M4 was within that list. And we started this journey. And Øyvind is really good at seeing potential and seeing your skills and kind of channel you into that. And he connected me with M4. And so I started as a PA. Then I started helping with the newsletter, more communication. then with a prayer team, and now with events with you. I'm learning also with managing and how to arrange something this big.
Wonderful. And do you enjoy the work? What do you find inspiring about it?
I think again the vision that I get, I feel I'm developing myself as a person more than just this passion for God and church planting or make Him God known, and it's so I feel so activated. Like everyone around me, I get so inspired. I see this person doing completely different things, but I'm trying to absorb as much as I can because I feel that I would never learn something like this in Chile, or maybe not at this speed. So it's very, very inspiring for me to be working like this. And in a way, for me, I think working with the church planting or in a Christian environment, everything is so, let's go with the flow. And yeah, this is broken, but it's okay. But this is with excellence. It's like that's the best we have, we will do it, but not for show, not for making a statement. It's because we want to serve God with excellence. And that for me is it's a gift.
Yeah, enjoy that. You mentioned church planting. Have you ever been a part of a church plant in your life?
I haven't.
Yeah.
And we were very curious about it with Simon. So we did the M4 Ready course. And being completely honest, we don't feel we are called to church plant, but we are called to help and support the churches that are planted already. So even now in Jones, we're trying to support, for example, young couples who are going to get married, like to do some counseling before, or leading in Bible groups, and in my case with women. And so it's more like a pastoral heart for me. So maybe not where we start something, we initiate something.
More like not the pioneers.
Not the pioneers.
Yeah.
Exactly. But when it's there, it's like we want healthy leadership so that could be reproducible for the new people that are coming.
There's a lot of exciting things, I understand, happening at the church you're part of in Christensen. It's an older church plant. I mean, it was planted 20 some years ago, something like that. But now you're seeing a lot of new exciting things happen. Tell us about what's going on there.
Yes. So our staff at the moment is a lot of people that have a gifting with evangelism. So of course, it's a lot of gathering new people. And that meant that the church has grown so much, especially in the last 3 years. And also with the youth, there's this revival. And on Saturdays, is over 70 people that are coming. And for Norwegian standards, that's a big group.
Yeah.
And we work a lot with small groups as well. So the idea, the heart of the church is that someone comes and more than just say welcome, it's like, what do you like to do? And then they help you to connect with other people and also make you go to a small group because, of course, it's easier to get to know each other in a smaller setting than 250 people on Sundays and during the service.
Wow. And so God's doing a lot of exciting things. Tell me, do you have any stories of some life change or something that's really happened that you've seen God do or you're aware of?
Yes, and I was working with the youth for a while, and just to see people and they're 19 years old, 20 years old, and just to take this commitment and to change their life in a radical way, to say, I'm going to stop, drinking how I was doing it. I'm going to stop using drugs. I'm going to stop
like real
lying
significant life change.
It's so inspiring. And for me, I was a little bit insecure about working with youth in Norway because I don't know, or I didn't know anything about them, right? I come with a Chilean background, very different. But I was really honest with them. I said, I don't know anything about what it is to be a teenager in Norway, but please help me. I'm open to hear and just to receive what you're going to say, no judgment or anything. And for them, that was like, wow, that's new. That's a new way to connect with someone older than me. And just to see their life changing like that, to be, again, with radical change and say, I'm going to honor God with my life, not just in the church, but what I do every day.
One of your roles that is a part of M4 is with the prayer ministry or M4 prayer ministry. Tell us, what is that? Share a little bit about your heart on why you think that's important and why invest in that.
So as I was telling you before, I met God through prayer. So for me, already that's important in my heart and something that has stayed as important in my life. And I think sometimes we forget that God is right there and we can talk to Him. And
especially church planters, activists, let's go, go, go. Prayer is not
it's easy, yeah.
as big of a priority as it should be.
Exactly. And imagine, like you're married. Imagine if you go 2 weeks without talking to your wife. How would that be? The relationship between you, or
Well, it's not that unusual. No.
but that would break a little bit of the.
Absolutely.
You would have to start catching up with each other instead of just having a normal relationship.
Right.
And with God, for me, it has been the same way. It's like if He's my best friend, I want to talk to Him every day. And it has been a process of also taking out a bit of the traditional way to pray. And in my school, my high school, you pray like this, very like a lot of steps to go towards that, when it's simple. Because when I'm talking to my husband, when I'm talking to my mom or my dad, I don't have to do certain things to be able or to get their attention. I just have to be there, have to be present. And in M4, I've met so many people that believe in the same, that church planting is so connected with prayer, because it's a big challenge to do. It's not something easy. And the conviction that you need to do something like that is God also provides that with what He reveals and through prayer, but also through the Bible. And the combination of these two tools, prayer and the Bible, is so powerful. And we believe that that can be a good gift in a way to the people serving in M4. And we want to start making M4 known as an organization that prays. Yeah.
And so how often does this prayer team get together? What is the rhythms of that ministry look like?
We meet every other week. We are 5 people at the moment. And Linda Isbel, she gathers all the prayer requests. And then during that meeting, we try to go through all of them. And at the end, we gather a few of encouragement and send it to people. So it has become a very relational thing and also very one-on-one. And we really believe in that, because M4 is a very highly relational organization, and we want to make prayer as well a relational activity that we can do together.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that prayer ministry. Yeah, church planting, I think we pray. We definitely believe in it. But like I said, there's those guys, we just want to go and save the world. And you miss it, and you just realize that comfort we can have, and God is right there, and He really wants to speak with us, and He has so much to offer to us. So thank you for taking the time to invest in that ministry. Looking in the future, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yes. It's a difficult question for me, because my personality type, I'm always thinking in the future, but God is calling me to be more in the present. So I think what I'm doing now is something that I would enjoy keep doing for the next 5 to 10 years. I feel that working with M4 has changed my life, and the people that I'm meeting there are influencing me in such a good and positive way that my husband now is also getting a bit more involved with M4 and connecting with the people. And now he looks forward to meeting Kristiansand. It's like, oh, Craig is coming.
Yeah, he hosted me. He was a wonderful host. Yeah.
So that's a blessing, and I don't give it for granted, because in the normal job, you don't connect like this. You're not able to invite your family into the environment. So for me, that's so beautiful to be able to tell my husband and invite him, hey, come and join, and let's you can also bring something to M4.
Even serve together.
Even serve together. So we love hosting when there are things going on in Kristiansand, and we are praying for what's coming, because Simon, he's studying. So we are praying where to go. So I think, being completely honest, it's a bit difficult to say in a practical way where I would like to be. But if we keep going like this, live a life where we feel that we are influencing people around, we are inspiring people to find their identity in Christ and go for the things that God has for them, that's the place. If we are in His will, that's the safest place we can be.
Wonderful. I love to hear that you want to at least stay for M4 for a little while longer, at least because it really has been a lot of fun to work with you and encouragement, and you have such a good heart, and I've enjoyed every moment we've had a chance to work together. Would like to finish if you would, so church planters and different people are watching this podcast. So I would like you to end by just looking into the camera and sharing some encouraging words, or maybe even if God has given you something during this interview, what you would like to say to them.
Yes, yes. I think my heart is to invite you to be brave, because if we live life by fear, we won't get too far. But if we believe in God and we have this conviction that I know this is what God is calling me to do, everything will come to the right place. When I went to Norway, I didn't have any money. I didn't have anything that would be logical to say, yeah, this is a sign for God to go. But He provided on the way. And if you're thinking of church planting, or if you're thinking, how can I help towards this, so to a church that is planted already, just be brave to go to God and ask and pray, where would you like me to be? Because if you do His will, again, it's the perfect way to be, and it's the safest place to be. And God will provide everything you need.
Valentina, thank you so much for your time. You have been a great encouragement to us all.
Thank you.
Well, that's the end of our podcast today with Valentina. If you would like to learn more about M4, you can check us out on our website, m4europe.org. You can learn more about the ministry, or if you would like to even support us financially, you can find all that information on our website, m4europe.org. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.